Hello, and welcome to Hello, everyone, and welcome to Love Restored. I am your host, Marshaun Olaniyan. Now, I want to ask you, how are you getting what you want from the relationship that you're in? Now, this could be the relationship with yourself, right? It could be your romantic relationship, but I wanted to ask you, how are you specifically getting what you want from the relationship that you are currently a part of? Because have you ever asked yourself who I want to be? So, who do you want to be? Have you ever sat down and seriously asked yourself who you want to be in the relationship that you are currently in, or a relationship that you will be in the future? Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? Right? So asking yourself the deeper questions are really going to help you to attract the mate that you want to be in a relationship with, as well as allow, if you are in a relationship, allow your partner to see that there are some changes that you are making because you want and you are being intentional about the person that you want to be. And so you are taking said actions to be that person, right? So asking yourself, who do you want to be, will absolutely help you to get the relationship that you want to be a part of. The next thing to think about when you're trying to get the relationship that you want is your mindset. When is the last time that you thought about your mindset and actually made changes to the way that you view things, making changes to the perspective and the things that your partner is doing, the things that he is not doing, right? And even yourself, because we have a tendency to point the finger, right, to the other person. But I really want you to point the finger at yourself and figure out the things that you are doing wrong, the things that you need to work on, right? So when you're changing your mindset about things, it's going to open up another world that you weren't even realizing that you needed to be a part of, right? So understanding that there is a bigger world than the one that's in here. And so when you start to change your mindset, you start to see your partner different, you start to see yourself different, but you also start to see the world differently by just opening up your mindset. And doing some changes as well, right? This is going to be changes to your habits. This is going to be changes to your behaviors. This is going to be changes in the way that you respond versus react, because people think that when they hurry up and respond, that's what they're doing. But in reality, especially when it's in a negative light, you are reacting to what the person said or what the person did to you versus taking time to think about it and then respond in kind, whether you feel that they deserve it or not. Now, I am specifically talking about your romantic relationship. I'm not talking about strangers that pop off to you that say different things, right? But I'm really talking about the relationships that matter to you. In this case, I'm talking about your romantic relationship, the relationship that you have with yourself, the relationship that you have with your children, right? The relationship that you have with your parents or siblings, or even your really, really good friends. So the relationships that matter, you have to change your mindset, look at things differently in order to get the relationship that you want. And again, I'm speaking about 3 types of relationships here. The main one I'm speaking about is your romantic relationship. But then I'm also speaking about the relationship that you have with yourself, as well as the relationship that you have with So now keep in mind, I am speaking about 3 different relationships here. The romantic relationship that you may or may not be in. I'm speaking about the relationship with yourself. So number 2. And then the third relationship that I'm speaking about is the relationship with your child, children, family, your friends, right? And I know that I coupled all of those together, but those are the 3 main relationships that we have in our life daily. And so it does make a difference with how we are showing up, as well as how we're treating the people that are most important in our lives, as well as how you're treating yourself, because how you treat yourself is going to tell everybody else how they can also treat you, right? So if you are saying that you are a person that works out, but your body doesn't, your physique does not say the same thing because of what you're eating. So you could work out. Literally, you could be a person that does work out every day, but your physique does not say to the outside world that you work out every day unless they know you personally. And why is that? It's because of what you're eating. Because people don't realize that the biggest part of weight loss is the stuff that you put in your mouth. It is really not the workout. The workout is literally adding to, but to maintain your weight and your diet, it's really about the food that you're eating. It's about 90 something percent is the diet. The other, the toning, the making it look good, right? And keeping down on the ailments like the stretching and everything comes from the actual workout. But what you're eating is what's making your body look the way that it looks. But I digress. Okay, I digress, because this is not about weight loss, and I am not a weight loss trainer or anything like that. But I know a little bit about a little bit, okay? So that's to get your relationship with your body together, right? But again, that's a different subject, because that's not my main topic. However, it leads me to the next point, which is to be brutally honest with yourself about the things that you want and aspire to get out of this life, out of your relationship. Because if you cannot be brutally honest about the things that you want out of life and with yourself out of all of these relationships, then it doesn't even matter, because what you're trying to achieve will not even come to pass anyway. It will not, because you can't even be honest, brutally honest about the things that you want, about the things that you need, about the things that you desire. And why is that? It is probably because somebody has told you to silence yourself when you were younger many, many times, over and over again. And then now you're internalizing that to say, I cannot speak up or speak out about the things that I want. So I don't really want to be brutally honest, because I don't want to have to deal with those things. But then also coupled with that, people have a fear of whatever. So I may not want to lose the weight, because then I won't be able to eat the way that I'll eat. But then also I won't be able to look the way that I look, specifically in the size dresses, or maybe somebody's going to make fun of me, or maybe I'm going to lose friends, or maybe I won't be able to fill in the blank, right? Because there are so many things that I may look at and be like, why are you scared to do that? Or you may look at me and say, why are you scared to do that, right? So each and every one of us is different in what we fear. Some people are really, really good at adventure, and they can go skydiving and parasailing and jumping out the plane and all that other stuff. And other people are like, oh, no. So our fears are different, but they're still there. There's still a fear, which is keeping you stuck in one or multiple areas of your life. So you have to be brutally honest about the relationship that you want, by looking at what you're doing right, so you keep doing that, but then also by looking at what you're doing wrong, so you can cut that at the root, so you can throw it out the window and get rid of it. The next thing is literally to understand what your deal breakers are. Now, a lot of people know what their deal breakers are, but then when they witness the party exploiting the deal breaker, they don't do anything about it, for fear, as I mentioned earlier, of potentially losing that person, losing the relationship, losing the title, losing the fill in the blank. But once you understand what your deal breaker is or are, and the person is going against what you want to be a part of in order to create the relationship that you want, now you have to take action and give them, literally gift them the consequence. Because most people don't learn unless there is a consequence attached to the thing that they did wrong. So if I come to you as your partner, as your spouse, and I say infidelity is a deal breaker for me, and then you as my spouse decide to go out there and cheat, and then I find out, because 9 times out of 10, you're not coming to tell me that you cheated on me, right? So I found out, it's been leaked, you got caught, whatever. And then I do nothing about my deal breaker and it being exploited, you taking advantage of me, there's no consequences to that, then guess what? You just gonna do it again. Now, the consequences could be a separation, it could be a divorce, it could be whatever. Those are extreme, I get it. But so is infidelity. So let's be real. Because if you have to find the need to cheat before you actually have an intelligent conversation with your spouse, then it is something that is missing. But guess what? It's up to you to express these things to your spouse, to your partner, so they have the opportunity to correct said behaviors. But to just be callous and go out there and just cheat because maybe you're being selfish and that's just something that you want to do. Maybe everything is going right. Like, listen, for real. I remember when I was younger and I was cheating with a guy, like, because I was younger, right? And I'm saying this story here because it is very important. Nothing has to be wrong in your relationship for one party to cheat. Nothing has to be wrong. Now, I'm bringing that up because the guy that I was cheating with when I was much younger, in my 20s, young and dumb, not excusing it, but it is what it is. I remember him explicitly telling me like it was yesterday, there's nothing wrong in my marriage. Nothing. Now, I am assuming, but I am going to say it. I'm assuming it's because I'm sure I wasn't the first person, but there was no consequences. I'm sure I wasn't the first person, but there was no consequences on his end, which is why he felt selfish enough to do it again. Because the truth of the matter is I was never trying to take him away from his wife. That's the truth. I didn't want him like that. I had my selfish needs. He had his selfish needs, and we did our selfish deed. I'm not perfect, but I did learn from my mistakes. Absolutely learn from my mistakes. And I even regret doing that because I have also been the person who's gotten cheated on. Don't feel good. So I reap what I sow. I understand that. But in order to get the type of relationship that you want, specifically when it comes to your deal breakers, you must set up those boundaries and you must enforce your boundaries. Because if you don't, you are teaching people how to treat you. In this case, you are teaching your spouse how to treat you. So in that example that I just mentioned, where I was the schmuck, yes, I can admit that. Where I was the schmuck, doing the deed, doing the cheating, he never did have to, quote unquote, suffer the consequences. But I did. I did. And without going too deep into that, you have to enforce your boundaries. Otherwise, you will not ever get the type of relationship that you want. Ever. So whatever your deal breakers are, you must stick to them. You must. Another way to get the relationship that you want is to embrace your alone time. So many people, and I work with a lot of clients. So many clients come to me because they cannot or will not face the music of embracing their alone time. This could be after a breakup, and then they always have to do something, whether they're working all the time, right? They're filling that void, but they're filling that space so they don't have to think. All of the stuff that's up there, they don't want to deal with the stuff, which is why they find all of these things to do every single day. busy, 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 whether they're around their friends all the time, whether they're working all the time. Now they're working out all the time. Like they become obsessed with not being alone. And that's a problem, because the only way you're going to find this peace and really start to evaluate who you are, the things that you want, and why the relationship went the way that it did, in that case, a breakup. Why did the breakup occur? What was the part and the role that you played in it? You must be able to sit with yourself by yourself so this stuff can come up, so you can deal with it. Because until you deal with this stuff that's here, you will remain on that hamster wheel going round and round, attracting the same person over and over again. Or if you're in a relationship, you're still on the same hamster wheel, having the same conversation, having the same argument over and over and over again. And how is that getting to the relationship that you want if you don't deal with your crap? If you don't deal with your past traumas, if you don't deal with the things that trigger you, you will absolutely destroy and kill any type of relationship. Whether it's the relationship with yourself, the relationship especially with your spouse, the relationship with your children, because all of these insecurities are going to come to the surface and you're going to ruin everything that you have been trying to achieve. All because you have yet to deal with all of the stuff that's trapped inside of here. You have not gotten down to the root as to why you feel the way that you feel, why these things, what's the word I'm looking for? Why do these things impact you the way that they impact you? Until you deal with your crap, you're never going to get the relationship that you want. You must deal with your crap. And if you don't know how to deal with your crap, now it's time to talk to someone. Whether that's a coach, a relationship strategist, a therapist, a preacher, a pastor, priest, whatever, a really good friend or a mentor, somebody that can send you in the direction of peace, but also help you to come and get down to the root as to why your life is the way that it is, and not having not making you feel ashamed, not making you feel guilty, but just telling you what it is, because this is what it is. I'm not trying to make you feel ashamed. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but this is what it is. Your life is this way because you have yet to deal with your muck and your mire that is in deep within yourself. You got to deal with this stuff in order to get the relationship that you want. Another way to get the relationship that you want is to fight the right way. Now, what does fighting the right way mean and even look like? So when you're in a relationship, that you do not bring up the stuff that your partner shared with you in private or during your pillow talk time. Because during that pillow talk time, he or she was being very, very vulnerable and open with you. And so when you want to fight dirty and when you know how to get below the belt, that's when you throw that stuff in there because you don't like what he said or what he didn't say, or what she said or what she didn't say, how they reacted, how they responded, how they treated you, but not realizing that when you bring up the most sensitive information that they brought to you, you will never earn that place again. And if you do, it's going to take you many, 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 many years, because it's very easy to trust somebody the first time. It is absolutely horrible to rebuild the trust once it's broken, because it takes so much longer to earn this person's trust back because you broke it the first time. Now, quick example on that is, if you ever found yourself where you two were laughing happy-go-lucky, and let's say, for instance, your man was sharing one of his dreams or goals, and your response, instead of it being, okay, go after it, or something to that effect, I got your back, let's do this, let's see what his rolls, you say something like, that's stupid. Why would you think you could do that? Like, you don't even have X, Y, and Z. Fill in the blank, whatever X, Y, and Z is. So why would you think that you could do A, B, and C? And that right there is what kills your chances of ever being let through that door again. And now you may realize, how come he'll never tell me stuff no more? He'll never share nothing with you no more because you don't know how to take in the information and then not use it against him later on. And don't get it twisted. Men do the same thing. She come to you. She shared this very sensitive thing that happened to her, excuse me. And all of a sudden, when you pissed off, you throw it in her face. Listen, we got to grow up. We got to grow up. We say we want to be a part of these adult relationships, but then we do little kid stuff. That's what kids do. Kids throw your sensitive stuff in your face. Well, your mama was a drug addict. You're going to be a drug addict too. Your daddy was in AA. You're going to be in AA too. Like, that's some sensitive, horrific stuff to throw in somebody's face. All because you pissed off and can't control your emotional state. So because you're miserable, now you want to make somebody else miserable. Really? How do you expect for that person to now lean into you and connect with you? Yeah, sex may be happening, but I'm sure it's not the way that it once was, where you felt really comfortable with that person. It may be something missing now, where slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, roll over, go to sleep, because I didn't got mine. And now you feeling like, well, where's the cuddles? Where's the hugs? Where's the kisses? Where's the pillow talk? Not realizing that you're playing a part in the demise of your relationship. Now, I'm not saying that your partner should just do that. Both of you have to recognize what you're doing right. You also have to recognize what you're doing wrong so you can correct said behaviors. And a lot of these things, a lot of reasons why we're not getting the relationship that we want is because we have a tendency to not be able to apologize for all of the crap that we've said, all of the crap that we've done, and then start to correct said behaviors, to show up differently, to be this different person, to be this different man, to be this different woman. We got a chip on our shoulders. We're no longer having those difficult conversations because we feel, why is it going to matter anyway? It's not going to help. So why should I even care? And then we just continue the cycle of being in these mundane relationships that are not helping any of us to prosper, to be better, so our children can see what healthy relationships look like, or healthy marriages, so we can break this cycle specifically within the Black communities. Because the beautiful relationships that are out there are not just for everybody else. We got a lot of junk in our community that we need to tighten up and clean up. And a lot of it did stem from our history. But now we're continuously breaking those chains and we're being better. Each generation is getting better. But we don't realize all of the stuff that our ancestors had to really go through because it wasn't our lives specifically. We read about them in the history books, or we hear about them from stories being passed down. But I didn't have to ever experience some of the things that my mom or grandparents or even great-grandparents had to experience. But they had to fight the fight in order for me never to experience those things, if you get my drift, right? So a lot of their fight was survival. And it wasn't about how to be in a relationship, because a lot of us was ripped away from our families. And now that although that's not happening as much, because it's still happening, but I'm not going to go down that road because Black Lives Matter, right? That came up. Because Black Lives Matter, right? That didn't just happen just because. There's some history behind Black Lives Matter, right? So, although we're doing better, we're still not where we need to be. We're still not seen as equals in society. But all of that transfers into our romantic relationships, because if our ancestors always had to think about survival, they weren't thinking about how to be in romantic relationships. But they did the best that they could do with the information that they had. And so now it's our turn to do even better with the new information that is out here. Because how we treat our children does matter. How we treat each other does matter in our romantic relationships. And now we are products of the way that our parents treated us, obviously, right? Or your parent or guardian treated you. And some of us had really great upbringing, and others still had a lot of tumultuous situations around them, whether it was them seeing abuse or them being abused themselves. And now we're the adults. But we have to break those generational curses so we can show our children how to really be in healthy relationships. But that means you being able to be vulnerable enough to show your weaker side. Now, for those of you who can't see me, I just did the air quotes, but it's the air quotes because when you show your vulnerability, you're actually being a very strong person versus you thinking that you're being a weak person. You're not being a weak person by showing your vulnerability. And guess what? If you never show your vulnerability, if you can never connect with the person that you're in person with, that you're sitting right next to, that you're lying in the bed next to, that you're having sexual relations with, if that person is never able to see you in a vulnerable state, you will never get the relationship that you want, because they don't understand who you are. They're not able to connect with you on a deep level. There is a disconnect. There is something that is missing. And so if I am pouring my heart out to you and you never do the same to me, how can we truly feel like we're on even ground with one another? You can't. You can't. And so it is up to you to decide what you're going to do, how you're going to show up in order to get the relationship that you want to have. Another way to get the relationship that you want is to understand the meaning behind how your partner responds to conflict. Now, that is something that you're going to have to pay attention to, because a lot of people cannot articulate what's actually happening with them. No, this does not mean you have to pull it all out of him and everything. Sometimes he may be willing to share what's the real reason why we talking about this thing, because it ain't really got nothing to do with me, but you're taking it out on me. So can we really talk about the real thing? But most people won't be able to have a conversation like that because because the partner is coming to them about something, they believe that it's actually about that thing. And most times the conflicts that occur have nothing to do with the thing that just happened. It's about things that have been piling up on top of one another, whether you're in there in that pile. It could be the job, could be the career, could be the boss, could be the children, could be a whole plethora of things you may be thrown in there. But because you're the person that's closest to your spouse, you seem to get the brunt end or the bad end or the short, that's what it is, the short end of the stick. But if you could take a step back, you can absolutely see this ain't got nothing to do with you. He was pissed off because he woke up late. Like literally, it could be that minor. It could be that minor. And so his whole day went late because he was late for every meeting that he had because he woke up late. Now he late for every meeting. And of course, the meetings ran over. And of course, he was even later. And so his whole day was messed up. But it had everything to do with him and nothing to do with you. But because he didn't take a step back to recharge himself, to get himself all together, he took everything out on you. So we have to be able to read between the lines in our relationships as well. Understanding what is really going on with this conflict. Is it really about me? Is it really about something else that happened? But that's a part of you getting a relationship that you want, being able to decipher what's really happening. Because your partner may not be able to articulate what's really going on. They just know that they mad, and guess what? You there to get punched with their madness. It happens. Another way to get the relationship that you want is to literally show each other love the way that you both want it as well as need it. Now, what does this mean and what does this look like? I'm sure many of you have heard of the 5 Love Languages book by now. If you have not, you can go online, Google the 5 Love Languages quiz, take the quiz to figure out what your top 3 love languages are. Now, it's important that I said the top 3 because it's only 5. But research has shown that if you know and show, so know and show the top 3 love languages of your spouse or significant other, and you show them to him or to her, then you two can have a pretty good relationship. But the thing about it is they also have to know and show you yours as well. So it's not a one-sided street, because they can feel awesome in the relationship with you because you are giving them the things that they need and showing them love the way that they need it. But if they're not willing to reciprocate it and give you your top 3, then it's going to be lopsided. He or she is happy-go-lucky, right, over there, and you quite miserable and frustrated because you're not getting the things that you want. But you need to be able to articulate them as well as speak up about the things that you are not receiving. And finally, I'm going to wrap it up with you not, in order to get the relationship that you want, you cannot believe that your spouse is supposed to just know how to treat you or just know what it is that you want. Because none of us are mind readers. And ladies, finally, men don't do well, and I should say most men don't do well with hints. They need it flat out, written on a piece of paper, stamped on your forehead, directly said, no going around in circles. They just want to hear it. So if you really want to get the thing that you're wanting, you have to ask for it directly. And if you don't feel like that, well, it's not a surprise if he gets me the thing that I want, then give him 2 or 3 things on the list that you know that you will be absolutely elated to receive, and then have him choose the one. So it still will be a surprise to you, but you know it's still going to be something that you absolutely want. He's not a mind reader. You have to lay out the blueprint so he feels that he wins with you, so he can win, so you can be happy, because exactly that's what he's trying to do anyway. He's really trying to win with you, but also on top of that, he's trying to be your hero and to win with you. I am Marshaun Olaniyan. I am your favorite shift relationship strategist, where I help Black Christian women that are married or in long-term relationships to stop feeling disconnected and unloved and shift you to feeling heard, understood, and appreciated. Now, the final thing that I'm going to mention to you is to take the quiz today. Now, this quiz is all about you seeing if your relationship needs to be rescued. And I will put the link right here. It is I'm going to put the link right here in the video, so you will be able to type in that link and find out if your relationship needs a rescue. I will see you next time around. Bye-bye now.